And one of those guys was like, oh, like all this studying that you're doing, bro, you're just going to be a teacher. And I said, one day I'm going to hire you to clean my shoes. But I remember even at university, right, I walked through past papers all the way back to like 1995, probably 2 past papers per day. Yeah. So, because it's difficult when you have no choice but to succeed.
For the man, it's like, there's no other insurance. There's no insurance. You have to make it.
There's research that says that once a child knows what they want to do and how school can help them achieve it, they are going to be far more motivated than if they don't. You've proven that. All right. Welcome, Jerry. Episode 2. I'm glad to have you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm amazing, thanks.
I was so interested in interviewing yourself, Jerry, because you went to the same school with my husband at one point, and whenever my husband mentions you and just, how you're doing or what you're doing and what you were like at school, I'm just always so intrigued to meet people that can vibe, have banter, be cool, play sports, and then so competitive, so strategic, so intentional, getting the top grades. I think even one time Josh even told me that someone got 100%. Jerry got 99, for example, and was like, wait, have you got 2 heads? Why did you get that? And then literally, you like ensured that you beat her the next time. I was like, I need to understand where this came from and just understanding whether this is something that can be taught or whether it's just a gift, innate, nurture. Can you just give like a brief background? Who are you? What do you do? Introduce yourself.
Well, myself, Jeremiah, British-born Nigerian. I kind of lived in London, born in London, South London, Forest Hill, that is. Grew up there, went to school there, university also. In between, I did boarding school in Nigeria. Kind of did my internships, graduated, studied mathematics at Nottingham University. I started on my first graduate job at Mitsubishi Bank on the rates trading desk. I was there for about 4 years in London before moving to Tokyo to their head office. So I was in Tokyo for 3.5 years before moving to Hong Kong. So at the moment, I'm a trader, interest rate trader to be specific. I kind of left the banking route and moved to a hedge fund in 2024. But yeah, I can get into a bit more detail a bit later. But
I appreciate that. How is Hong Kong though? How's living in Hong Kong?
It's amazing. I've been here 4.5 years now. Took some time to adjust, but I've somewhat acclimatized pretty quickly.
Okay, so the core essence of why I have the education effect is to look at your schooling experience. Did it actually shape success? So would you say that your schooling experience actually shaped your success and who you are today? Yes or no?
So for me, my specific experience, I'll say school absolutely shaped my success. Early on, I came to believe that, education would be a thing that set me apart from my peers. But I don't mean the exam results themselves, but, those are simply just a reflection of the effort that you put in. But what truly mattered was learning to maintain a routine, to be disciplined, and to face challenges like head on, right? So for me, I love mathematics, right? That was my passion and my love. So if I have a problem to solve and I can't solve it, there is a solution. It's not subjective. There is always a solution. So I kind of see that as life, right? So I don't think it's necessarily the results from the exams that you do, but essentially what you grasp from, the process, which again, I think categorically shaped my success today.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, take me back to as a young boy growing up. What was your outlook on education at that age? What type of school did you go to? What kind of environment were you raised in?
First of all, I consider myself very fortunate to have attended different schools across different countries. I began at a state school in South London, Bonus Pastor. And that experience planted the seed of my competitiveness, I would say. But my parents, made a decision, 2 years into secondary school to kind of, send me back to Nigeria, where I went to boarding school. Main reason because they wanted me to experience and see how the other half live. It was there that I learned, the true meaning of hard work and dedication. And more importantly, found my sense of purpose. Nigeria, is a nation of over 200 million people, full of young people. and every bit, just as capable or more capable than you and I, essentially. But yet they just lack, the opportunities that we take for granted in the UK. So in that environment, recognition came largely through academic achievement. And that lesson stayed with me whilst I was in Nigeria. And then by the age of 16, I'd witnessed somewhat two different realities, right? That's the adolescence age whereby you kind of find yourself. But I've returned to the UK, I was around 15 or so. I was fortunate enough to then attend private school. And there I learned the value of the network. So I was surrounded by individuals from completely different walks of life, I would say. Yet we shared somewhat similar goals. Just to be clear, the standard is just remarkably high. Strong results are like they expected. And, sport excellence was routine to be great. It's normalized to get 99 in an exam or get 10 A stars. It's normalized. So I was pretty disappointed in myself when I underachieved in that social group, state school social group. 10 A's, 3 A stars is amazing. I just found a balance between the two.
And it almost seems like the two initial experiences was perfect to position you in that private setting. But I want to go back because you said something. You said that the state school that you went to is where you found that competitiveness. From what I've heard about you, there is this competitive streak that you have that is actually almost probably a bit second to none. And it's probably what has really contributed to your success and just the way that you are. Do you really accredit that to that state school that you went to, and why? Or do you feel like that maybe came from parents, or where do you feel like that came from? Because, some people can be in that same situation as you, where, they're trying to be popular, or trying to be best at football, whatever. And if they can't, well, it is what it is.
So on a personal level, I come from a moderate family, both working parents, both went to university parents, very hardworking, but we didn't have much. I felt like I was going to be our opportunity to, see how the other half lives, somewhat be that, the dream child or like dream kid that kind of, takes the parents out of the hood. I kind of had that instilled from pretty early on. And again, going to state school, and where I went to state school, South London, it creates a fire in your belly no matter what you're doing, whether that's like being the best dressed, being the best at sports, being the best in class, being the most confident, being the most personable. It shapes your personality pretty quickly. Growing up in that environment, you have no choice. You take a back seat, you take the longer route to success. I think that background propels you. It puts you in a better footing, essentially, I would say, to face certain challenges that I mentioned. Moving to different countries, speaking in different network groups, always feeling comfortable speaking to different types of people from different backgrounds, often being placed in uncomfortable positions, but being comfortable. All of that was shaped from a young age. I don't think that's shaped as you get older. I think that's shaped from the first day you step into secondary school. And unfortunately, but fortunately, it was in a state school in South London. That's what shaped the habit. So that's more on the personal side with like the parents and my upbringing. But more so to do with work, I genuinely enjoyed spending time with my friends and socializing when I was younger. So to do that without guilt, I would say, I made sure, I put work in first. So it felt like a positive reinforcement to some extent. Like my parents would put me into piano lessons on Tuesday and Thursday. I'd always do my work Thursday, Friday before going out and so forth. And it was my passion. I did love mathematics. It was really my passion. So I found it very easy to understand subjects where answers are not subjective, as I mentioned earlier on. My thinking was, if I experienced every type of question around the topic, I could never be surprised, on exam day or by the teacher. No matter what the teacher asked me, I was always prepared for. So, but I remember even at university, right, I walked through past papers all the way back to like 1995. And there's probably 2 past papers per day. Yeah. So 2 past papers per day, per year, right? And I basically did every question possible that they could ever ask. So when the exam day came, I could never be surprised. There's nothing that examiner could put to me that I wouldn't know the answer. And guess what? I got 100% in the exam. Find something you love, learn, and make progress. The rewards from your work, they will come in due time.
When did you discover your love for maths? From your story so far, it sounds very internal. How were you encouraged and pushed externally?
I really have a insane passion to succeed, and that's not monetary. That's just being the best version of myself in everything that I do. So with maths, I found it's not subjective. It's one of the only subjects where your answer's correct or it's wrong. Every other subject, there's some deliberation with the lecturer, there's some deliberation with the teacher, how they're feeling that day or how they're not feeling or what's their opinion. Whereas with maths, I just knew, okay, I'm either going to be wrong or I'll be right. So with that, I found a joy in being right, and that wasn't subject to someone's opinion. I found more enjoyment in being right, solving a problem. I remember quite clearly falling in love with solution-based exams in secondary school, I'd say. And also when, I'll never forget, when we would finish the exams, we'd deliberate, what did you put for this question? What did you put for this question? And when we're speaking amongst ourselves and, I've definitely put the right answer. I felt nice. I felt good. Whereas when it's science or English, it's like, it just depends on how the teacher's feeling that day, to some extent. So that's my love for maths. I found I kept pushing myself maybe to the limit that sometimes I would be my own worst enemy. And that probably came after university. So, I kind of was always first in my class or somewhat top of class. Finished university, kind of, started at the higher end of the spectrum for graduate jobs and so forth. And I felt like, wow, I'm doing really well. After 2-3 years of an analyst in a bank, I just felt, I wasn't as unique anymore. I wasn't, different anymore. Whereas in school and university and A-levels, I was always different. It was very clear the distinction between me and the other group. Whereas these are still my best friends. It's not like I don't want to hang around them, but there's a clear distinction between the two. And I just became my own worst enemy, maybe in my early 20s. And that's when I found solace in finding a mentor.
You clearly had the right mindset. Do you feel that this was something that maybe your parents taught you, or did your school teach you in terms of, for example, like going back to like 1995 past papers, like a lot of people don't think like that. Like it would, like maybe just do a couple past papers, like that's it. But it's not normal, especially somebody who's a teacher. Like I can tell you that, like if I'm not telling my students to, guys, go back to your past papers and whatnot, if I'm not telling them about, the fact that they can be more and do more, a lot of them they can't even comprehend it. Do you feel that this was something that you were encouraged by, maybe by your parents or a teacher?
And thank God for my parents, to be fair. I think I owe a lot to them. My mum for her nurturing, but my dad solely for his encouragement in education, because I wanted to take some different routes early on in my life. And he always steered me towards education and supported and encouraged and positively, I would say, reinforced on that part. I think I've just learned to not be afraid to be an outlier. Looking back, I've consistently found myself, walking a different path. Again, whether that's studying and doing papers in 1995, attending piano lessons, or leaving London to move to Tokyo and leaving Tokyo again to move to China. I've always chosen a direction that wasn't the most common one, but I've always felt most comfortable. Do you want to succeed or do you want to be comfortable? And if you want to succeed, these are the things to do. Don't deviate from these paths. And if you do, then don't be surprised, right? But if you don't, one day you'll bear the fruits of your labor.
In terms of just, being a successful trader, like, guys, those of you that are watching, like, Jerry's just acting really humble. Like, the success rate that you have achieved at such a young age is insane. Yeah, it's not normal.
Thank God.
Right? And it already, I'm sure those that are watching can already see that, okay, it's you, like what you just said, being okay with being an outlier. What do you think in terms of skills, in terms of things that have helped you to where you are now, career-wise?
I'm a devout reader of books, motivational books, put it that way. It's like I love a motivational speaker, I love a motivational book, I love learning from people. I read a few books and summarized them into my own motivation. So they're 3 Ps. So they are the purpose, process, and presence. When I say purpose, I'll say like, knowing the reason I'm doing something. When that's clear, I think it becomes easier to stay on track and remain present, right? When you have a purpose. The second, as I mentioned, process. I think having a consistent approach to something, enables me to just fulfill that purpose. I've always been one which, is pretty structured, pretty regimented, and, fully, I have like, my weeks planned out, months in advance, exactly what I'm doing. So there's a process. And then third is presence. I think this one's key. Bring your best self forward each time you're trying to achieve that goal. So every day I go to work or I'm trading, it's not like, even if I go out the day before, I feel a bit under the weather or I feel a bit down, personality swings, mood swings, you still need to bring your best self forward for that particular thing. If I set out a plan to study for 1 week, maybe 4 hours a day, after the first 3 days, you might be tired, right? The fourth day, even if you're still tired, maybe break it up 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. Or if you skip that Thursday, it's 8 hours on the Friday. It still means you're bringing your best self forward. So I think with those 3 Ps, as I mentioned, your purpose, process, and presence, I think it just allows me to have more structure. And I've kind of used that since I went to university, since I've graduated, and even in my trading career today.
Amazing. 3 Ps: purpose, process, and presence. I'm going to take that for myself. And the importance of structure. I love that because actually I think a lot of us might forget that. We leave school and then we go into the world of work and you're forgetting that actually schools helped you to actually systematically get them even the most out of the day. Like,
Absolutely.
Even just giving yourself, okay, 50 minutes, I'm going to do this. Okay, then I'm going to have a bit of a break. Then 30 minutes, I'm going to do that. We don't think about that. That's actually helping you to not procrastinate. That's helping you to get things done.
If you're enjoying this conversation so far, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can be reminded every single week for a new upload. And don't forget to share this with your friends.
What would you say to somebody who's like, okay, I didn't go to private school, so I can't meet the caliber of people that you're meeting. Because I do feel that the fact that you went from school in London to Nigeria, like being put in a situation like that where you have to kind of, because I know going to school in Nigeria is not easy, especially when you come from the UK.
Stuff.
They mock you when you're from the UK. It's like,
Exactly.
They say like you're Raz, like you're not cool. Whereas in the UK, you're definitely cool. But,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, for sure.
and all of that.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that that's helped you to now be able to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to Japan for this opportunity. Okay, yeah, cool. I can go live in America and you can thrive. Whereas some people can't just up and leave, can't just take risks, can't just try new things. What would you say to people that are like, okay, I want to find this purpose that you're talking about. You found your love in maths. What's that one thing that you would say to really help people to maybe figure it out or to keep going at that thing if they think they found it?
It's a great question because you need to fail. Some people will fail. Not everyone can succeed because it's difficult when you have no choice but to succeed. When you have a choice and you're granted, with a family upbringing, which is, somewhat wealthy, or you've got somewhat of insurance, then you can figure stuff out in life, right? If one thing doesn't work, you can try something else. But I just had no choice to pick education because number one is the cheapest. And number two is somewhat we're granted this opportunity. People with similar backgrounds to me have no choice. It's the easiest route. I'll say it's the most structured route to like somewhat successful destiny, essentially. There's education it's not something that can be taken away from me. A skill can be taken away from me in terms of injury, in terms of unfortunate circumstances. But education it's a valuable asset that can never be taken. And it's respected worldwide, essentially. Because I think it's okay to fail and keep persevering. I think that's what, gives you the grit and being an all-rounder to kind of, face like turnstiles and hurdles. That's what's key in life because, a great journey and the end result, I don't think is as sweet as the process. To the other group of people that, maybe don't have a similar background to myself, I think it's okay to fail and to persevere through because that will be the story to tell, when they do come out the other side.
Yeah, no, I love what you said there. And I think the funny thing is actually, nearly every interview that I've had, particularly with males, you've all said similar about being okay to fail and that being one of the keys. Right? And the fact that like when you're dating or you're married or whatever, like as a woman, you can be okay with like not having to earn or like not having to.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas
Yeah.
man, it's like there's no other insurance. There's no insurance. You have to make it. Like, and then so you wonder why like men are like putting so much pressure on themselves. But it's like it's literally like the way that the difference in terms of the way that we're wired. It's like we actually. I mean, it's nice it's encouraged. It's great that we can contribute to the economy and working and be bosses and whatnot. But it's like we don't have to. Like there's a plan B.
Yeah.
There's a plan B. But for men, like, there's no plan B. And like,
There's no plan B.
there's no plan B. And the fact that you all said about being okay with failing, I think that is great. And I think what you said shows that I don't think you can really teach that. I think people have to.
You have to experience it.
You have to experience it.
Well, my mum's a devout Christian. It comes from her teaching because ever since, I grew up in her household, she's always made home feel like a sanctuary, right? So every day we leave the house and come back, she's like, whatever problems you guys have or face, leave that at the door. It's somewhat shaped me as who I am today as a man because as you mentioned, there's no plan B. All the failure that I have outside, let me just go and fight it outside. When I wake up and pray in the morning and I leave in the morning, it's time to battle the world. It's time to fight the world. But when I come home, it's peace. You need a sanctuary to somewhat feel fulfilled to some extent because people fail multiple times. As in most of the billionaires, today, apart from some of the most recent, found success when they're above 50. 55, 60. Warren Buffett started at 62. So like they would have been failing from 20 all the way up to 50. They're not failures, right? So you have to fail to succeed, in my opinion.
We're in a generation where we're all trying to find success under
Today.
20. And like,
today. Education, you don't reap the benefits initially. You don't see the output, right? You're only seeing exam results. But all of these compound over time. And it's not the results that are going to shape who you are later in life. Or it didn't shape me. It's what you've learned around getting those results, right? Whether that's the structure, the 3 Ps, whether that's having a balance. It's key about balance, right? When to say no to your friends or when to say no to certain things. And again, at a young age, it doesn't seem like a priority, right? It doesn't seem like a priority of doing that extra 15 past papers. But today it's helped me. And now I can look back and tell the story of, yes, it did shape who I am today. Because when I do compare myself to my peers, I think we're in different places, respectfully speaking. And we have these conversations all the time. And now they say, yeah, maybe they should have, done these past papers, or maybe they should have come to piano lesson with me. Or maybe they should have left UK and come to Hong Kong or gone to Tokyo.
Yeah.
So all of these experiences shape who you are later in life. You don't see the results at the time.
One of the stories that Josh mentioned to me came to my mind. Something about like there's either a Chinese student or a Japanese student in your school or something. And like when everyone was at lunch or break or something, you would be going to the library to go learn. Like he would be teaching you that language or something. Can you just tell us a bit more? Like why? Like what made you want to learn?
His name was Jun Cheng, I think his name. So, as I mentioned, it was state school, Nigeria, private school. In those 3 different areas of my life, I've always enjoyed being different, right? In each one. So I've always felt comfortable being different, being placed in uncomfortable positions, and being made to seem the outlier. However, I'd always find 1 or 2 in those spaces, and try to learn from them. Whatever their skill set was, try to learn. But I'd identify those people pretty early and pretty quickly. This guy, I remember when I started that private school, he was getting 100% in all exams. It was 100, 100, 100, 100. I'm like, what's this guy? Like, I thought I was, I did all the past papers. I'm still getting 97. What's he doing? Like, what's he doing? Like, and he was very different. Like, he wasn't a cool kid. He he didn't fit in with the group. Like, he wouldn't come and play football with us, or he wouldn't hang out after school. So I got close to him and just thought, why don't I learn? I don't have any Asian friends. Where I grew up in South London, I have no Asian friends, just surrounded by, Afro-Caribbeans, which is fine. I love my people. I think there's no harm, and I think it's great to learn from other cultures. You can always pick different things from other cultures. Same way they've learned from our culture. They love us now. They love our music. They dance to our music. They love our food. Same thing. I could learn from them because, to be quite frank, they are some of the smartest people in the world. Like, you just want to be around those type of people. If you're a group of 5 and you're the 6th and the 5 people that are successful, the likelihood of you being successful is really high.
So my last question for you is, looking back now, what do you wish you had learned earlier that would have been better?
I'll keep this short, but I'd say this is what I lack today. I'm being a bit vulnerable here saying this, but I lack EQ in the sense of my emotional connection to people is pretty limited. It's because of how throughout my life I've just been driven to succeed by getting results. And with that, people can come and go. People can, if they're a distraction to me, I pay them no mind. Or if I'm not included, I don't mind because I've still got my, my goals to achieve essentially. So now, later in life, I feel like a little bit of a nomad in terms of I don't have a home base. I feel somewhat excluded from the love circle that I once had, when I was younger, and the people that I'm around. I've missed very, very important, milestones in people's lives. For example, like my parents or my younger brother and sister. I get back to London to see their graduations and stuff, but like birthdays or like Mother's Day, you only have one mum, right? And when she goes, these are memories that you can't get back. But success is something that I'll still have, but what would I, what do I prefer? So at some point, you just need to chill. You need to chill, be around your loved ones, laugh, just eat some jollof and relax. I really wish when I was younger, I had found a mentor as a life coach, not necessarily, as I mentioned, to do with what I want to achieve, but to just how to kind of navigate through having a resilient drive and also being there for your loved ones.
Yeah, no, I love what you said there. And I think it's a reminder for all of us, and particularly those that are in the education system, to realize that not everyone needs the same support. So a child that's like Jerry, who's very brilliant, very goal orientated, very driven naturally and academic, they might not need your push and encouragement in that, but other aspects of life. Whereas there's other children that they're very much in the other aspects of life, but academically they're not pushing themselves, they're not driven, they haven't got the right habits that they need. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for that reminder. But one last thing, what do you think people can do to actually not be distracted? Because to come from, South London, different environment, all your guys, everyone's chill, everyone's just trying to do vibes, everyone's just trying to look at what's the next thing online. And the fact that you've been able to be so driven and achieve so much at a young age, despite the distraction, how do you do that?
Really back to year 7, I'll never forget it. Year 8 too, I went to bonus pass, as I mentioned. I was in, as they like to perceive, the cool group of guys that could do great football, always socializing, always the cool group, as people would say. But I always thought, where is this group going to be in 20 years? Always ask the group, guys, what's you guys planning 10 years, 15 years? Where do you guys think you're going to be? Some of the answers are wild. Some people didn't know, but I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I wanted to be. So that's what kept me out of the distraction. And one of those guys was all this studying that you're doing, bro, you're just going to be a teacher. And I said, one day I'm going to hire you to clean my shoes. And we're still great friends today. And I swear that's always stuck with me because I've always remembered, and I thought we love each other. We're brothers. Even if he was on the call today, we will laugh about it. But again, that's what, to answer your question, to keep you driven, to keep you away from the distractions. Is it temporary or is it like, longevity? Is it going to be resourceful? All the distractions, it's just quick gratification. It's just, So yeah, for me, it's, whether that's Instagram, I deactivate Instagram maybe 7 months of the year, 5 months I'm on, whether that's going out or whether that's traveling. Everyone's different, right? I'm not like, some people's resource of income is through Instagram, it's through social media. So distractions can come in all sorts of forms. But the route that I've chosen, which is education and financial markets, Instagram is not paying me. So me scrolling and looking at women, looking at clothes, looking at shoes, looking at highlights and reels, all it's doing is depleting my mental capacity.
I love that. If Instagram is not paying you guys, you
It's
don't
not
need to be on it for
Well
excess
done,
amount
yeah.
of time. Unless it's paying
Just
you.
paying you, be on it. Yeah. Be on that thing. Be 24/7. It's not paying, what are you doing?
No, but do you know what? What you just said is actually, there's research around that. There's research that says that if you want to raise motivation, right, academically in school, that once a child knows what they want to do and how school can help them achieve it, they are going to be far more motivated than if they don't. And so you've proven that. And because you knew what you wanted to do, you were able to see that this is going to help me become that. This is not going to help me. This is distraction.
Exactly.
No. Whereas a lot of people don't know what they want to do. And so they can't even decipher what is going to actually help them become, what's going to help them with that or not. So I love what you've said there. And thank you so much, Jerry. It's been
No
such
problem.
a pleasure having you.
No, Daniel, thank you very much for inviting me on. Appreciate it. And God bless. And I wish anyone that listens take some notes or take something, even if it's one gem, it could help you in life and you could use it to help somebody else. I think people of our color, people of ethnic minorities, or anyone really, could do with some help. As I mentioned, I wish I had a life coach on the EQ side, and today I do. And it's made a massive change in my life. Well done, Danielle, and keep going, keep pushing.
If you found this conversation insightful, then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I can't wait to see you next week with my next guest. See you soon on The Education Effect.